What's up, Denver? Chris Lopez here, and today we have a really cool deal analysis to talk about. We helped a client sell his condo here in Denver, then successfully execute a 1031 into an off-market duplex in Lakewood, and it was a successful 1031, and the client is happy. I've got Preston Newberry with Envision Advisors here to run through the deal. Preston, how are you?
I'm doing great, Chris. Thanks for having me on. I'm really excited to talk about this deal. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. So set this up on here because we had a client who sold a condo that was a rental.
Yep.
Put that over into a off-market duplex to execute a 1031 exchange.
Mm-hmm.
But before we get into details, give us an idea about like the client profile.
Yeah, so this was a great client to work with. He's got a professional career, really successful, new baby at home, family, all that kind of stuff, and really just wanted a smooth, easy transaction to 1031 into a new property. So we helped him get his condo on the market, and there were a few speed bumps with that one, but we were able to navigate those, get it under contract, and at that point started looking for our replacement property. And they just wanted something easy, west side of town, and we were able to find them an off-market duplex, which was really cool.
Yeah. And so we're going to go through the details here in the spreadsheet in about 2 minutes on the duplex. But, you know, we get this question a lot. And I mean, and this deal closed, I think, like 10 days ago since we're recording this podcast. So very fresh, very recent, and also at the height of competitiveness and low inventory in Denver. And a lot of times people, they like the idea of a 1031 because it can defer capital gains taxes, which can be huge in tax savings. But they can be difficult to execute and navigate in the current extreme seller's market. So walk us through like the conversations you've had and how you quarterbacked all of it.
Yeah, so it's definitely a little bit of a stressful situation, especially in this market that we have. But I think the biggest thing is all about setting expectations for your clients, right? And laying out a roadmap and a game plan. And hey, this is how we're going to execute it, right? So, you know, from the beginning, it was, all right, we've got this condo that we want to sell. What are we going to do to find the next property? You know, we knew that, you know, selling the condo should be fairly painless, but the biggest part of it was going to be finding a new property to 1031 into with the limited inventory we have. And so, you know, it was really nice to work on the relationships that we have, you know, with other brokers here in the Denver market. And we were able to find an off-market duplex that fit the bill perfectly. So this is one of those deals that, you know, is almost kind of too good to be true sometimes, but this is what we work hard for our clients for, is to find these deals and make this stuff happen. So, you know, from the time that we went under contract on the condo, getting it sold, we ended up having to extend closing a couple different times. Luckily, the sellers, you know, of the duplex were willing to work with us. So again, it was all about navigating that stuff. We had to do some repairs to the condo before we could close on it. And, you know, just keeping everything in check as we moved through the process and making sure everybody was updated and knew what was going on, and that, you know, just communicating through the whole process. I think that was the biggest key for us, is just communication.
Yep. And as we transition the spreadsheet here, I'm going to plug in these numbers to the duplex. Just a quick reminder to investors out there, because we get this what if scenario and these questions a lot. If you're out there sitting on a property or properties with lots of equity or similar situation to this gentleman, reach out to us. We love having conversations and putting together a game plan for you. So reach out to me or Preston, fill out the consultation form, and we'll sit down and talk to you about it.
The last thing you want to do is just try and wing it with a 1031. So
it is prep.
Yes.
And that's a big reason why we're able to execute 1031s, is because we are prepping. You know, we're measuring like 5 times, cut once type mentality. Yep. It comes down to prep work. So on the duplex here, and I'm pulling up Joe Massey's spreadsheet here for rental properties.
Okay.
And this is one people can download in our toolkit, and all the exact numbers will be in the video and the show notes. So I'm going to ask Preston some questions. We're going to talk about the property here. So this is a duplex in Lakewood.
Yep.
And you said you found this off market, right?
Yep. Just through some relationships with other brokers in town, which, you know, is key, especially in a market like this, to have those relationships and those people that you can call on, and they know you're going to get a deal done and treat the transaction right, because there's a lot of stuff trading off market right now with just the current conditions that we have, because a lot of sellers don't know what they're going to go do after they sell a property, you know?
And what was the rough timeline like? So the condo sold on what date and how soon was this property under contract?
I mean, we closed on the condo on a Wednesday and closed on the duplex the following day. So
wow. So
yeah,
the timeline's really
real
synced
tight.
up.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's obviously what we strive to do, but that's about.
And our whole thing is we wanted to get it closed before the end of the month, you know, and so that was our big thing. So it was a little bit stressful, but we made it happen.
Right. All right. What was the purchase price of this duplex?
$660.
$660.
Yep.
And I think you did some negotiations in there, right?
Yeah, we did some negotiations. They were looking for a little bit more, but with the condition of the property and the way things were at, and knowing that we were going to be in a 1031 and we had to close on it, right? Just kind of playing that card a little bit. We were able to negotiate the price down a tad.
Rough acquisition cost.
Probably going to be around $8,000.
Okay.
And this was a 1031, so that those can be a little bit different as far as the acquisition costs go, because you're wrapping all of those proceeds up into the down payment and all the acquisition costs.
And what was the game plan with this property? You said there was some work needed to be done. So does that require some extra repair cost, or what was the business plan?
Yeah, it's like we see with a lot of properties, in the metro area right now. It had tenants that have been in there for a really long time. Seller had owned the property for a long time. Rents were way under market. The units were really clean and well kept. They've done a really good job with it. But I think to get top market rents, definitely going to have to go in and do some minor cosmetic stuff. I think all the bones are good, but flooring, paint, stuff like that, I would say somewhere probably in the $10,000 to $15,000 range, depending on how crazy they go with the updates.
Well, let's just say 15,000 to round up, since that's the trend with everything now.
Right.
What was the financing like?
So we just did regular conventional lending.
So 30-year fixed?
Yep, 30-year fixed. Right around 3.5% was the rate. And then we put all of their 1031 proceeds in, so ended up being about $177,000.
All right.
Down. So we'll have to calculate that percentage.
And probably about 25% down approximately, right? Good enough for like the exact things. Okay. Yeah. And so you were all in for about 180, 190. So all the 1031 proceeds plus an extra 10 or 15
plus a little bit of
grand.
money. Yep. So nothing crazy.
And the rents, what's the current rents like, the as is?
Yeah. So as is rents are about $1,300 per month per unit. Which I think is severely under market rent, even with the condition that the property was in. Like I said, it wasn't bad. It wasn't, terrible inside. It was just, dated, but clean.
So, and what's the layout of the units?
So they're 3-bed, 2-bath. With a 1-car garage. So side by side, with 1-car garages, and then both units on either side, kind of townhouse.
And they each have a 1-car garage?
Yep.
So this is one of those like nice, big, beautiful duplexes
nice,
you see in like the
Lakewood
west side.
Duplex on the west side, corner lot. It's perfect.
Okay. Yeah, 1,300 for a side by side 3-bed, 2-bath. That is definitely low. Vacancy, we'll just plug in at 3% now because there's not much vacancy. We'll leave the other assumptions as is or usual. Property management. Is this investor going to self-manage or?
They are going to self-manage.
Okay. So we're going to mark this to
at least for now. I think at some point down the road, they'll probably think differently about that. But for the time being, they are going to self-manage.
All right. And so for monthly reserves and repairs, 8%?
8%, yep.
Okay.
The other nice thing that was kind of an added bonus out of this is we got a new roof. The seller had already engaged an insurance company to come out and replace the roof before they decided to sell the property. So right after we went under contract, they actually replaced the roof for us. So it's got a brand new roof on it.
Oh, that's great. Well, that's great for CapEx. And
yep,
you might
added bonus.
You might save a few bucks on insurance too.
Yep.
What was the inspection objection process like? Anything major? Obviously, they got a new roof.
Yep, they got a new roof. That was kind of negotiated before we even went under contract because we knew that was going to happen.
Insurance claim or just?
Yep, it was an insurance deal, which worked out great for us. Inspection-wise, there really wasn't a whole lot that, came up. It's got some older furnaces and water heaters, typical stuff we would expect to see. And knowing that we kind of negotiated the price down already, the seller wasn't really willing to work with us much on that, as to be expected in this market. So, yeah, they're going to go in and replace a water heater and I think one of the furnaces. But other than that, everything else was solid.
Yeah, that's nothing big. So we're going to run through some expenses here. What are taxes like?
Taxes are like $2,900 a year.
Insurance?
$2,500.
And then what's the utility situation like?
So again, we lucked out on this one. Everything is separately metered and the tenants are all paying the water. So no expenses to the landlord.
Well, still one water tap, right?
Yeah, one water tap.
Okay, and they're just splitting that bill?
Yep.
Oh, wow. Okay. So no utilities in the landlord's name.
Exactly.
What about snow removal and landscaping?
So those are going to be the only things. It's on a pretty big lot. Right now, the current tenants, because they've been there for so long, are taking care of all the maintenance as far as that goes. So, I think for future stuff, I would probably put in somewhere around $1,000 or $1,500 a year for just, yard maintenance, landscaping, stuff like that, just because you want to keep a property like this up.
All right. But right now, they're not paying that. So I'll leave it out right now. Then we'll come back and bump up the rents and some of these expenses. Yep. So as is, jumping over the cash flow tab, it is a 3.3% cap rate, and a negative cash flow about $4,300 a year.
Mm-hmm.
So straight on paper, not
Doesn't
an
look that
amazing
great,
investment,
right?
But this is where the art of real estate investing comes. You can't just look at like the initial
Look for
metric.
the opportunity,
Yeah.
right? And that was the big thing we saw here, and why my client was so excited, because we knew there was room in rents, the location was fantastic, and the property was in really, really good shape. So for them, cash flow wasn't king in this deal. They, are playing the appreciation side of it, and as long as we could get something that was going to be, pretty close to cash flowing even, they were going to be happy. So even looking at these numbers, it wasn't a total deal breaker for them, but I think looking at the pro forma on the upside of the property is what really excited them.
Yeah. All right, so I'm going to come back here and change the rent numbers per their business plan. So, 10 to 15 grand in work, units will turn. And what do you think the market rent is over there?
We think somewhere around $2,400 a month per unit, which I think is pretty realistic, especially in the current market that we're in.
So that almost doubles the current rent.
Yeah.
And for 3.2 over there, yes, I totally agree. And through that, we'll put in $1,500 a year for landscaping, snow removal.
I think just to be conservative, and utilities and everything will still, pass through or be in the tenants' names.
Okay. So really just change those two variables. Anything else we need to change? I think those are two main things,
those
right?
are the two main things.
All right. So the cash flow here, now it goes to a 6.6% cap rate. So the cap rate went from 3.3 to 6.6. And now the cash flow is, $18,000 a year, or about $1,500 a month as a self-management.
Exactly. Which, looking at those numbers, I don't know about you, but I think that's a pretty sweet deal.
Yeah. Oh, it's a great deal.
Yeah.
And those numbers, I'd throw a property manager in a heartbeat to
absolutely get that out of my hair.
I'll take a 6-point cap rate and stay happy with that. So, yeah, obviously, like, regardless of it being a 1031, which, standards often maybe
a little bit different,
go down a little bit lower when it's a 1031 exchange. This is a phenomenal property. Lakewood's a great location and sounds like a great deal because it's a light value add play versus like a heavy value add play. I would like to come back here and let's put in property management. So we'll just say 10% to round up. That drops it to a 5.7 cap rate and about $1,000 a month. Still a phenomenal property.
Still a smoking deal.
I wish we could find a lot more of these.
Yep.
And something else I want to play in this scenario as well, because this is locked in here, but I think since this closed or how long went, interest rates have gone up a little bit.
Yeah.
That's one of the things we're facing in the market. And it sounded like this deal kind of got in right before interest rates.
Yep. He was able to
lock
the rate earlier this year. And we actually ran into almost the last day of our rate lock. So that was the other thing that we were trying to squeeze in before we had to extend that. So all in all, for our side of things, it played out pretty well, but definitely a little bit different in the market at the moment.
Yeah. So I'm just going to play it real fast, going from a lower fixed rate. If this 30-year fixed, that's just probably like high 4s or 4.75. So if we do that, the cap rate stays the same. It's a 5.7 cap rate, but cash flow dropped from about 11,000 change, about 7,500. So 3,000, 4,000 if I do my math.
Almost a year. Yeah. Yep.
So just want to highlight that because, interest rates obviously have changed a lot the last 6 weeks, 8 weeks since we're recording this.
They're moving around a lot.
Yeah. So be mindful of this, and we'll continue talking how to navigate and still find great properties in an environment where interest rates are rising, prices are rising, because it's not stopping me and Preston for investing.
Nope.
Not stopping a lot of clients.
You just got to get a little more creative, right? That's what it's all about. There's a lot of different lending products out there. So, I think this is a time whenever you start shopping around and looking at some of those different products.
Yes. And we'll wrap this up because this is great deal analysis. And as a reminder, all those details, the spreadsheet screenshot is all in the blog post. So check out the show notes. Any questions on this deal, reach out to Preston. If you want to look at your portfolio, your scenario, reach out to me. This is the stuff we love doing and we love executing on here at the Envision Advisors. Preston, thank you so much.
Thanks, Chris. It's been great being on.